company exists to produce a product, provide a service, or contribute to some part of our economic and social system. But there are companies that do more than one thing. Google, for example, controls much of the traffic on the internet, and Unilever and Nestlé control much of the food market. But what would you say if we told you that one company stands above all these giants? A mega company, or more precisely, a company that owns all the other companies. That company does exist, and its name is Blackrock. Even if you have never heard of it, you should know what Blackrock is and what it does. Blackrock owns significant stakes in almost every other successful company in the world. In numbers, Blackrock manages over $10 trillion in assets. In this video, we want to take you behind the scenes of the most powerful company on the planet. We'll show you not only what Blackrock does, but also how it influences the politics of the world's most important countries. You will be surprised at just how powerful this company really is. But what exactly is Blackrock? In short, it is an asset manager. This means that it offers to manage other people's money, companies' money, and even governments' money. In this case, managing means investing. In other words, investing money as profitably as possible to make it grow. But how exactly does this work? And why has Blackrock become the largest company in the world? To understand this, we come to a New York investment banker named Larry Fink. Back in 1988, Fink realized that people and companies who wanted to invest their money to grow it faced a problem. Most of the things you could invest your money in 1988 were too risky. Larry Fink realized that there might be another way, and that was to invest not in individual stocks, but in many different stocks simultaneously. In other words, a mutual fund. Although the idea of a mutual fund was familiar, Fink also had the idea of using computers to make these funds less risky. He founded Blackrock in the late 1980s and developed software that calculated the risk of stocks and automatically removed all the very risky stocks from a portfolio. This is still Blackrock's business model today. People or companies give Blackrock their money, and Blackrock uses software to invest it as safely and profitably as possible. Blackrock then earns a small commission for investing the company's or individuals' money, whether it makes a profit or not. It's a pretty straightforward business that doesn't sound too controversial. But why is Blackrock consistently criticized? The main criticism of Blackrock is that it has grown so much over the years that its influence has reached alarming proportions. This was already evident in 2007 during the US financial crisis. While many banks and financial firms were in trouble then, Blackrock hardly suffered any consequences. On the contrary, something extraordinary happened. The US government and even the Federal Reserve suddenly began working with Blackrock. Because the company had such a good reputation as a fund manager, the government gave Blackrock almost unlimited power to dispose of the money and assets of troubled banks. As a result, Blackrock stood over the banks as the long arm of the US government. Not only that, but the government also provided money to bail out the banks. But that government money did not go directly to the banks. It went to Blackrock. Blackrock could manage it and decide exactly how individual banks should be bailed out, or not. So, a single company took over the state's role and managed the financial crisis on its own. This was a scandal at the time and one of the reasons for the Occupy Wall Street movement. But you are wrong if you think that the financial crisis was an exception and that Blackrock is now just another financial firm playing by the same rules as everyone else. In fact, Blackrock's power has only increased since 2007, and to a truly alarming degree. In 2020, for example, according to the independent research network Finanzwende EV, Blackrock became a shadow bank during the coronavirus pandemic. Indeed, during this new period of crisis, Blackrock stepped back into the role of government. In the US, the Federal Reserve had to provide a multi-billion-dollar aid package to help the country survive the crisis. Once again, however, the money did not go directly to those in need. It was first managed by Blackrock, which then decided exactly how it would be invested. As a result, Blackrock temporarily controlled all coronavirus aid, and not just in the United States. In Europe, the European Central Bank instructed Blackrock to invest large amounts of profitable funds during the coronavirus period. While it sounds dramatic and almost conspiratorial, the power of giant financial managers is a real problem. Although Blackrock regularly advises governments and helps states in crisis, Blackrock itself is hardly controlled. This means that almost no one is above BlackRock and has little control over exactly how individual transactions are carried out. According to Finanzwende EV, there is also reason to believe that BlackRock has inside information from many of the world's largest companies. BlackRock, therefore, knows how individual companies will perform on the stock market and can trade accordingly with this secret information. Now, you may be wondering where BlackRock gets insider information about the world's largest companies. Well, BlackRock is not only the world's largest asset manager, it owns a majority stake in many of the world's largest companies. But what does that mean? Think of it this way. When you buy a share of Apple stock, you own a little piece of Apple. Now imagine that you are managing not only your own money, but the money of millions of people and companies. They're giving you their money, and you're supposed to buy things with it, like stocks. So you can't just buy one share of Apple stock. After all, you now have billions of dollars. You could buy 1 billion shares of Apple stock outright. Then you own 1 billion shares of Apple stock out of a total of 15 billion shares of Apple stock. That means you own 1/15 of Apple, the equivalent of 6.5%. And if no one else owns that many shares, you are the largest shareholder in the company because no one else owns more Apple stock than you do. So, what does this have to do with BlackRock? Well, BlackRock ultimately does just that. It spends trillions of dollars buying countless shares of almost every company worldwide. As a result, they have the largest stakes in many companies. When you are the largest shareholder in a company, you own part of the company. This means that BlackRock can also indirectly influence these companies. For example, BlackRock often sits on the boards of companies and can get directors fired or get a company taken over by another company and influence how a company makes decisions. With its two smaller competitors, Vanguard and State Street, it holds a majority stake in almost every major American company: Google, Apple, Microsoft, and other well-known companies. The largest shareholders of these companies are either BlackRock or occasionally Vanguard or State Street. This means that BlackRock and its two smallest competitors control half of the world's financial assets. This is a number that shows how incredibly powerful BlackRock is. To recap, BlackRock controls a significant portion of the world's total financial assets, often assumes the role of a government in times of crisis and conflict, and controls the state's money. However, BlackRock has no real institution that strictly controls the company, especially when it is in partnership with governments. In addition, BlackRock has inside information on many of the world's largest companies. With this knowledge and power, the company can even influence global politics and financial markets with its own strategy. While this may sound a bit conspiratorial, some financial experts suspect that this is happening. After all, as we explained at the beginning, BlackRock's rise was already made possible by computer software. Today, BlackRock has a program called Aladdin that can analyze billions of financial data points and complex models to assess the risk of individual investments. 4 giant data centers, each with 6,000 supercomputers, analyze global economic data, stock prices, government changes, and even natural disasters to give BlackRock managers recommendations on how risky a particular investment is. Of course, insider information plays an important role here, making stock prices much more predictable. The theory that BlackRock itself not only manages and invests people's money, but also has very specific plans for the world, is something that is pretty well known. For example, Larry Fink himself writes a letter every year. This letter goes to all the major companies where BlackRock is the largest shareholder. Larry Fink basically dictates how BlackRock thinks the company should act in order to do well in the future. For example, in his recent letters, Fink has repeatedly talked about climate change and the need for companies to be carbon neutral by 2050. This may sound noble, but as the environmental group Client Earth explains, BlackRock is just using these statements as marketing to hide its highly polluting investments. After all, BlackRock owns billions of dollars worth of stock in companies like BP, Shell, and Chevron. Regardless, it is generally bizarre that in our supposedly completely free market economy, a single company stands above the market and controls it all by itself with its investments. What do you think? What is your opinion of BlackRock and its role as a shadow bank? We look forward to your comments.